The night on the ranch carried a hush that only the wind dared disturb. The air smelled of rain and hay, the distant chirp of crickets weaving through the soft hum of life after dusk. Jake Carson, the ranch's most dependable hand, finished locking up the stable and stretched his aching shoulders. His day had been long, but honest work always left him with that quiet satisfaction. He was about to call it a night when he heard it, a faint, trembling voice from the far side of the corral. "Jake, you out here?" He froze mid-step. It was Emma. Jake's brow furrowed as he turned toward the sound. She was standing near the fence, the glow from the barn lantern catching the copper strands in her hair. Her boots were half buried in the dust, and in her hands, she clutched a tangled rope and an old leather saddle that looked much too heavy for her small frame. "Emma," he called back, walking closer. "What are you doing out here this late?" Her voice wavered when she answered. "I was trying to saddle up Storm, but it hurts." She looked down at her hands, her knuckles scraped red. "It's my first time tonight." For a split second, Jake's chest tightened. The words hung there in the cool air, strangely intimate, strangely uncertain. He could hear the barn's wooden walls creaking behind them, the kind of silence that made every sound feel louder. He cleared his throat, keeping his tone steady. "Your first time saddling a horse, huh?" She nodded sheepishly, a strand of hair falling across her cheek. "I didn't want anyone to see me messing it up. You all make it look so easy." Jake chuckled quietly, the tension in his chest fading into something softer. "Well, that's 'cause we've been doing it since before we could walk." He stepped forward and held out a calloused hand. "Come here. Let me help you before you strangle that poor rope to death." Emma hesitated, then handed him the leather reins. Her fingers brushed his as she did, warm and trembling. He noticed how her hands were roughened from chores, yet still delicate, hands that hadn't yet learned the rhythm of the ranch. Jake crouched beside the saddle, showing her each step with patient precision. "You always start slow," he murmured, looping the girth strap through the buckle. "Don't force it. Horses don't like rough hands. They trust steady ones." Emma watched closely, her brows furrowed, trying to mimic his movements. When she fumbled again, Jake gently reached over, placing his hands over hers. "Like this," he said, his voice low. Together they pulled the strap, the leather tightening against the saddle. The faint smell of oiled hide and hay filled the air between them. She bit her lip, concentrating, her breath brushing against his arm. "It's harder than it looks," she said. Jake smiled faintly. "Everything's hard the first time. But you'll get it." They worked in silence for a while, save for the soft rustle of the horse shifting in its stall and the sound of their boots scuffing the dirt. Under the dim lantern light, Jake caught glimpses of Emma's face, focused, determined, but tinged with that nervous excitement that came from trying something new. When the final strap slipped into place, she let out a small laugh of disbelief. "That's it. We did it." Jake nodded, stepping back to admire the saddle sitting perfectly secure. "You did most of it," he said, wiping his hands on his jeans. Emma flexed her sore fingers, grimacing. "I didn't think it'd hurt this much," she said, glancing at her reddened palms. He grinned, tipping his hat slightly. "First times always do. But next time, you'll be ready for it." For a moment, the two of them stood there in the golden spill of the lantern light, the night stretching quietly around them. The stars shimmered high above the open fields, the world holding its breath between laughter and something else neither of them wanted to name. Emma finally broke the silence with a shy smile. "Thanks, Jake. I owe you one." Jake gave a small nod, his heart unexpectedly lighter. Don't mention it. Just, maybe don't try doing it alone again. Storm's a good horse, but she's got a stubborn streak, kind of like you. Emma laughed softly, shaking her head. Guess I'll take that as a compliment. Jake turned toward the barn, his boots crunching softly over the dirt. You should, he said over his shoulder. Means you'll fit right in here. As he disappeared into the shadows, Emma looked down at the saddle one more time, her chest still fluttering with something she couldn't quite explain. The ache in her hands was real, but the warmth lingering there was something else entirely. The sun climbed lazily over the horizon, spilling golden light across the open fields. The ranch was already awake, the sound of hooves, laughter, and the clatter of breakfast dishes mixing into the familiar morning chaos. Jake walked toward the stables, still rubbing the sleep from his eyes. He hadn't gotten much rest. Every time he closed them, he kept replaying the night before, the way Emma had smiled under the lantern glow, the softness in her voice when she'd said, "It's my first time tonight." He shook his head with a small grin. Maybe he was reading too much into it. She was just learning, nothing more. But something about that moment stuck with him, something he couldn't quite shake. As he approached the barn, he noticed something strange. A few of the ranch hands, Tom, Billy, and the twins from the south pasture, were leaning on the fence, whispering and snickering like schoolboys. When Jake came into view, their grins widened. "Mornin', Jake," Billy drawled, smirking. "Heard you had yourself quite a night." Jake frowned. "What are you talking about?" "Oh, come on now," Tom cut in, pretending to look innocent. "Emma couldn't stop talkin' 'bout it. Said it was her first time and that you did it real gentle." The twins burst into laughter, nearly doubling over. Jake froze mid-step, his stomach dropping. "Oh, no." He tried to keep his voice even. "You boys got it all wrong." "Sure we do," Billy teased, winking. "Don't worry, cowboy, your secret's safe with us." Before Jake could say another word, a familiar laugh drifted over the sound of the horses. Emma was standing by the water trough, a bucket in hand, surrounded by 3 of the stable girls. She was laughing so hard she could barely breathe. Jake sighed and made his way over, boots crunching against the gravel. "All right, what's so funny?" Emma looked up, her cheeks pink from laughter. "Oh, Jake," she managed between giggles. "You really don't know, do you?" He crossed his arms, narrowing his eyes. "Apparently not." One of the girls leaned in and whispered loudly enough for him to hear, "She told everyone you stayed up half the night helping her with her first time." Jake blinked. Her first time, saddling a horse. Emma snorted, covering her mouth to hide another laugh. "Yes. But I didn't think they'd all take it the wrong way." For a moment, Jake just stared at her, the realization sinking in. Then, slowly, he began to laugh. It started low, then rolled out of him like thunder. "You're tellin' me I lost half a night's sleep and got my name dragged through the dirt for a saddle lesson?" Emma grinned, tears of laughter sparkling in her eyes. "Guess so. You should have seen your face last night. You looked like you were defusing a bomb." Jake wiped a tear from his own eye, still chuckling. "Well, next time, maybe pick your words a little better before the whole ranch thinks I've gone and corrupted the boss's niece." That made her laugh even harder, nearly spilling her bucket of water. "Oh, come on, Jake. You've gotta admit, it's kinda funny." He shook his head, though the smile on his face betrayed him. "Yeah, it's funny now. But you owe me breakfast for this one. A man's reputation can't survive another story like that." Emma straightened up, still grinning. "Deal. I'll even make it myself." Least I can do after our first time. Jake raised a brow, fighting back another laugh. You're enjoying this too much. Maybe just a little, she said, biting her lip mischievously. He tipped his hat, giving her a look that was half a warning and half amusement. You keep teasing me like that, and next time, I might just let you wrestle that saddle all by yourself. Oh, you wouldn't dare, she challenged, her tone playful. Jake leaned in slightly, his grin widening. Try me. For a few moments, neither of them moved. The laughter faded, replaced by something quieter, something that hummed between them like an unspoken promise. The sun was high now, casting a warm glow over the corral. Emma finally broke the silence, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. You know, Jake, I might just ask for your help again tonight. He smirked. Yeah, just make sure you tell everyone exactly what I'm helping you with this time. She giggled, turning away with a blush. No promises. Jake watched her go, still smiling to himself. The misunderstanding might have been embarrassing, but somehow, he didn't mind. Maybe, just maybe, there was something real hiding behind the laughter. And as the other ranch hands went back to work, still chuckling behind his back, Jake couldn't help but think. Yeah, it hurt a little, but not for the reason they think.